Smurfy greetings! I, Hellgear, am a member of a community for the mobile game Smurfs Village, and I have come today to bring up a discussion topic to all the members of my Smurfy communities. So, if you, as a member of the community, play Smurfs Village, or even if you don't, if you are a part of the development team for Smurfs Village, or the customer support team for Smurfs Village, and you have happened to catch wind of this wonderful discussion topic vid, I not only request, but also encourage you to jump in on the discussion topic in the comments section below. But with that being said, I want to just do a little bit of housekeeping. Here in my grove, I am currently level 42 in the game. I'm not in the hundreds like many players are. I'm only level 42. And I currently have 26 Smurfs in my grove, half of which are girls. So, housekeeping out of the way, let me explain how this discussion came to be. One night, in between sleep, I decided I'd load up the game and put some work into my wonderful village here. But upon getting here, I get grilled by Brainy Smurf. An unhappy Smurf is a hungry Smurf. You should plant more gardens. Now at the time, in light of having 26 Smurfs, I only had 12 plots of garden. And since then, I've added these extra 12 plots of gardens, as you can see. But this ripping, which is kind ripping on Brainy Smurf's behalf, sent me into a tangent, which I found out later, putting this tangent in the middle of the night on social media makes you a complete and total Smurf tool. But the tangent is the reason for this discussion topic. And the topic is this: what do they eat in the grove? Now, as I said, I'm level 42. So your choice of crops is probably different than mine. But one thing that is still the same when it comes to the crops here is, well, the lack of actual crops. All that is grown in the grove are flowers. Pretty, possibly very nice smelling flowers, but no actual food. And during my tangent, I said to myself, the reason why these Smurfs are hungry is because they have no actual crops that they grow to eat. So, near the end of said tangent, I asked myself this question: what flowers can actually be eaten? Now, of course, humans and Smurfs are different things, and when you think about flowers and eating flowers, you don't really think of too many flowers that come to mind as far as what's eaten. You know, when most people think of flowers, it's, oh, this looks really nice for Mother's Day, or this will look nice as decoration for the table, or I can give this to my loved one on Mother's Day, birthday, Valentine's Day, etc. Dates, whatever. But eating flowers, is that actually safe? To an extent, it is and is not. Some flowers you actually can eat, while others are poisonous. So I began to look at the very flowers that are grown in the grove that you could actually eat. So, let's go down the list here. First and foremost, which of these flowers that are grown in this grove are edible for their crops? Well, geraniums are an edible flower. You can grow this. The Smurfs can eat this. There are various types of tulips that are edible. Here in the Grove, we have striped tulips. In the main village, you have chocolate tulips. But again, tulips are an edible flower, or at least some variations of tulips. But for the sake of the argument, let's just say that they eat these tulips. All right? I don't have them opened yet, but snapdragons are also an edible flower. I personally have not eaten a snapdragon. The closest thing I know that actually eats snapdragons are Plants vs. Zombies, where the zombies actually eat the snapdragon plants. But you can eat a snapdragon. And mind you, when I say eating these plants, I mean safely eating them without being poisoned or having to be rushed to the hospital. Chrysanthemums are also an edible flower, as are various types of lilies. You can safely eat these types of flowers. A particular lily that is edible is the daylily. Carnations are the last bit of the flowers, at least that I have available, that can be eaten. So at level 42, there are about 6 different flowers that are grown in the Grove that are actually edible. So I was thinking maybe in a future update to the Grove, they could have a few more crops that they can eat. But the question is, what exactly would you add to this Grove? Well, for one, the Grove grows flowers. So the first thing that comes to mind are various edible flowers. And when I say edible flowers, I'm not talking specifically about herbs. You know, we could use herbs, but we're going to stick with the theme of flowers and flowers that you can eat. But what really do they eat in the Grove, returning to the topic? Well, one thing I found out, thanks to the graphic novel, the Smurfs graphic novel in The Village Behind a Wall, one of the stories shows Smurf Willow showing Team Smurf their Grove harvest. And they are harvesting squash. I would show you the picture from the graphic novel, but lighting is not too ideal at the time. But essentially, these squash are yellow, Smurf-sized pumpkins, which makes sense because a pumpkin is in the squash family. So I figure in a future update, the Grove can actually have more edible crops, like a squash. Maybe we could grow squash. Not sure how long it would be. I don't know if you guys are going to make it the same length of time as regular pumpkins. Hopefully not. In addition to squash, which is what we know from the graphic novels, the official Smurfy graphic novel, I thought, what other nice flowers that are edible would they add? Would they be adding for suggestion as future crops for the Grove? And I've actually come up with a list of particular flowers that can be planted here as crops that are safe to eat. None of which are actual herbs, of course. So, the first flower that comes to mind are marigolds. There are various types of marigolds, but marigolds are an edible flower. Plus, they look very, very nice and colorful too. Pansies are also edible. Yes, folks, the actual flower called pansy, not the term for like a wimp, but pansies are an actual edible flower. As are violets. Violets can also be eaten. They're not just for poetry. An interesting flower that I found edible is the red clover. And specifically they say the red clover, not the green clovers that you will find in the grass, but red clovers are actually edible. One particular flower, at least one that I found out was edible, and I used to tear into this as a kid, is honeysuckle. And it reminds me of one particular Grove Smurf that's described in this graphic novel. Her name is Smurf Honey. And since the Grove Girls are named after various elements of nature, it only makes sense. I think she's the beekeeper, but I don't have a confirmed shot of Smurf honey. But yes, honeysuckle is actually pretty good. You know, more times than anything, you actually drink the nectar from a honeysuckle flower instead of eating the actual leaves itself. But you can eat the leaves itself. Now, some flowers that people may know that are safe to eat are, one, hibiscus, or sorrel or jamaica, depending on where you're from. This is an edible flower. Most people actually drink this flower just like they would drink roses. I know a particular juice joint, well, a drink joint that I go to, and I order the Rose Royal Tea. Very fragrant drink, might I add. So again, roses, hibiscus, these are types of edible flowers. Another edible flower, which I found rather interesting, is called the Marshmallow Plant. Now, mind you, the Smurf planet grows marshmallows, actual marshmallows, so we're going to let the Marshmallow Plant just pass on by from the grove. But another flower, which I've never seen before, but it sounds pretty cool, is also an edible flower, and that's called the star flower. Now, I know of star fruit, and star fruit are really good. They taste like oranges, but I've never really seen a star flower before. And that would be really interesting to add as a potential crop to the grove. Now, of course, I could mention some other herbs, but I wanted to stick to the theme of flowers since the grove does grow flowers. And this is where I leave the topic of discussion open to all of you. What edible flowers would you like to see added to the crops in a future update of Smurfs Village to the grove? I would love to hear what you think. Do you agree with some of the flower choices that are edible that I've said in this discussion topic? Let me know in the comments section below. If there's one that I've mentioned that actually is not safe to consume, let me know in the comments section below. If you know of any other flowers, yes, repetition is a good form of memory. If you know of any other flowers that I didn't mention, or if you think are very nice looking flowers but are not herbs and are safe to eat, but you would like to see them as crops in a future update to the grove, please share in the comments section below. But that's all I'm going to say for now. I look forward to hearing everyone else's answers, members of the community and development team alike, on this discussion topic. Thank you very much, and I will see you guys around the community.